going through life in a half-conscious fog like some low-T zombie shuffling its way straight to the grave. You're bumming everyone out. Grab a Cardomax energy intensifier and wake up. Owned and operated by former Navy SEAL Sean Matson, Cardomax energy intensifier will help you power through workouts and dead afternoons with vitamins B3, B6, B12, caffeine, and BCAAs. Use the promo code BROETS to get 30% off your next 4 orders at Cardomax.com. That's Cardomax.com, helping you achieve your max.
It's just one of those days.
It's just one of those days.
Bullshit.
You know what my kid was listening to? He likes to watch videos on YouTube. He was watching, when I wake up in the morning and I get outside and I take a deep breath and I get real high.
And I screaming at the top of my lungs.
What's going on?
Going on?
And I was like, what is going on? Like, what in the fuck is going on? Do you know what I mean?
That's a good question. I think I ask myself that every damn day. But, you know? What the fuck is going on?
What the fuck is going on?
Whether it's at myself in the mirror or whether it's just at other people, you know, it's something that pops out of my mouth pretty often.
Yeah. I think I say it every day. Usually when I walk into the room and there's just like shit everywhere and literal shit and then just like milkshakes on the floor or whatever, I'm like, what is going on, kids? What is going on? What in the fuck is going on? I mean, honestly.
That's a good reaction.
Right?
Yeah.
I can't do it any other way. I mean, so if we're contemplating what the fuck is going on, that means you're listening to the Drinking Broettes podcast. Today's going to be a little bit different. We actually have a guest in studio for the end of the episode after the sponsors. Her name is Elsa Marek. She is a professional dating coach that's kind of transitioned to working mostly with men, but her advice and her coaching works kind of universally for just dating in general, getting a guy to commit, meeting quality people, how to use dating sites in a constructive way, all of this stuff. So she's going to be getting into all of that afterwards. But first I thought we could kind of talk about what you're going through in the dating world.
Thanks.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. It's just a shit show. It's a shit show of a time, Jabes. You know,
right?
How it goes.
So do you kind of understand why at a certain point you have to just buck up and go to for guys anyways too, go to a dating coach and be like, all right, can you just tell me what the fuck? Do you know what I mean? Either a therapist or a dating coach and just be like, I'm in my 30s or whatever, and the dating landscape is fucking crazy. And can you please tell me how to find someone of quality and character that is ready to commit? Seems like the age-old question, right?
I mean, unless, honestly, you consider yourself a professional dater, right? Like, you are just constantly dating people, and that's, like, your whole existence. Even those people, I think, don't still know it all. Like, they're gonna get a curveball here and there and be like, what the fuck? How did that happen?
Yeah. And I think especially if you're looking for commitment, I think it's easier if you're not, right?
Absolutely.
If you're not,
for sure.
Let's fucking do this, right? But if you're kind of hoping, and you and I are kind of relationship people, so if you're kind of hoping that everything sort of, every time you talk to someone or you have interest, that it's eventually maybe going to turn into something, right?
I will say, like, I guess I really don't recall how the dating world was when I was younger, because I feel like I never really full on dated. Like, the one guy that I would date, I would marry because I'm just a fucking idiot. So, like, I was like, oh, I'll take you. This works.
Yeah.
I'll just take you. We'll make it work. Nope, never mind. But I don't know if it's changed. I've heard people say that the dating world's changed, but I will say right now, I feel like in order for you or for anyone who's dating to survive in this dating realm right now, you have to be the type who doesn't want a relationship, who can easily turn off your feelings and is totally fine with just like the ghosting and the not talking and the situationships and just kind of like roll with the punches. And if you can do that easily, I think you can survive. But if you cannot, you're gonna have a really hard time. And I honestly think that most people genuinely do want a connection. They want to be kind of in a relationship. They want to have mind-blowing sex with just one person.
Right.
They want to have emotions and feelings involved. But I think too that so many of us are trying to act hard, or we're scared, or like it doesn't affect us. So we try to do that and it just does not work. It normally turns into a shit show. So hence the dating realm that's why it's so frustrating for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And like
it's like two people playing games kind of.
Exactly. And a lot of her advice from what I've read in the book is just about things that we talk about, which is like communication and transparency, which is something that you're doing and you've kind of made, you made not a pact, but you making an effort to be like, you know what, I'm just going to be honest with people. I'm going to tell them what I want, when I want it, what my life is like, whatever, and hopefully people are into it, right?
Yeah.
So how's that been working out?
It's been going great.
It's going great.
But honestly, it is going, I will say this, it is going great because while it does suck to feel like you are talking to an individual and they're like, yes, I totally like you, I want to be with you, yada, yada, yada. And then them later on sometimes being like, wait, you're totally a relationship person and I guess I can't give you a relationship now, even though they acted like they could at the beginning. It's frustrating, but you're like, thank you, you're doing me a favor because now I'm no longer going to waste my time on you. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
For me, it is, people are saying that it's taking them about 3 months for them to get for them to realize that they don't no longer want to be with this person. And I think for a few different reasons. I think people can fake it for 3 months and be like on the best version of themselves. And then afterwards, you're like really truly going to see like if they really do want to commit to you or if they do want a relationship or whatever else. Or all of a sudden you're going to see these red flags start popping up because they can only hide them for so long. Right.
Yeah. I think that's a good rule of thumb, right? Like something will happen and they'll like get really pissed or they'll show their true colors. I think 3 months for sure, if not sooner.
Oh yeah. Yes. Oh yeah. Within 3 months. And the thing is too, maybe on the other end, we just haven't, maybe we ignored a few of the first, little flags. And but then after that 3 month, we're like, you know what? There's so many now. I just can't unsee them. There's a fucking carnival.
Right. Or maybe
flags.
3 months is when the blinders kind of get lifted for us as well.
Correct.
Where we can see the red flags and we're not just so like infatuated with someone or whatever.
The dopamine hit of that love and the cuddles and the honeymoon and like all of a sudden you start seeing them. One thing I will say is like if we detach our emotions and our feelings from someone, just even for a second, if you like detach those, you can see them for like truly who they are. And you go, ooh, wow, I guess they really aren't as special as I thought. Like I just made them special. Right?
Yes.
Like whether you made them special in your head or your love and your emotions and your feelings made them special. That was really it. But when you take all those away, because you think about it sometimes, like when you break up with someone, you look back and you go, ew, how did I even like them? Not even just like looks wise, right? Which sometimes we gag at this picture of them. We're like, oh, how did I? But even just their personality and how they treated us, you're like, why did I even put up with that? And you're like, oh, well, there was that, that little like love dopamine hit that felt really good for a second. Because it does. Like, isn't it like, I don't know, related to feeling like you're high or on cocaine or drugs or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Right?
It is. I think it is like dopamine or serotonin or one of those fucking happy chemicals that happens in your brain.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it happens. And then once it wears off, you're like, well, that's good. And I'm glad. So now I'm not going to waste my time anymore. So essentially that's where I'm at. It's just been like, well, thank you for showing me.
Yeah.
That I need to move on. And this is great. I think I'm just to the point, and I don't know if anyone else feels me on this, where I'm just like, you know what? I'm fucking good. Like, I've had, like someone James needs before this.
Yeah.
Like I've had, some pretty attractive men recently. I was like, oh, well, that's nice. Cause some of the other ones in the past weren't so much, hit me up and be like, hey, can I have your number? I'm like, no, thank you. No, thanks.
How empowering. And here's the other thing is like someone will knock your socks off, right? Or someone will sweep you off someone will get, either be respectful enough or come in at the right time or whatever. So when you're feeling like, no, thank you, that's not it. They aren't it,
Yeah.
right? As attractive as they are, someone needs to, where you're at right now, it sounds like someone needs to really just knock the door down, because otherwise you're good. I'm good.
Sure.
It needs to be.
I'm at that place too, though, right now, where if a dude wanted to come in and knock the door down, I'd be like, you know what? I'm good. Like, I'm still good right now. Like, give me some time, because I want to just. I've given a lot of myself to these like douchebags.
Yeah. F-boys.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's just kind of like, I'm good. Like, I want to spend some time on me right now. Like, let me recharge my battery, because I completely depleted it and given a lot of my love and attention or whatever to other people, where I neglected myself.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like, it's hard, and I know you feel this, because I know you give so much of yourself to people and your family and your kids and everything else. That don't you feel like sometimes at the end of the day you feel depleted and you're like, shit, can I just get a
Oh, bro, I could go to sleep at 6 o'clock every day.
Right?
Do you know what I mean? And just like straight up fall asleep, because I'm just like,
Yeah.
ugh. Like, by the time the kids are in bed or this and this, you're like, okay, I don't even have time to like watch a show or do something that I want to do. But yeah, exactly. Exactly.
But it's so hard. It's so hard sometimes to say yes to ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Because we say yes to everyone else. That I'm at that point when I was talking to my therapist the other day. I was like, he was like, you got to start saying yes to yourself. I was like, yep, that's where I'm at. So
yeah, say no to the DMs and say yes to yourself.
Amen.
Amen, sister. Do you have any stories that we can?
Okay.
Any juicy scoops that we can live through?
Well, first of all, this is kind of scary, but you might like this because you like murder and mystery and stuff like that.
Love it. Let's do it.
But
someone
here's
tried
the
to
thing,
kill
like,
you. Yeah.
This story is like circulating right now around, because people are talking about just being careful, like particularly on dating apps and stuff like that. There are a dime a dozen now and people are so used to them, but still be cautious. So there was this girl from New Zealand. Her name's Grace Millane, and she went on a Tinder date with this guy, Jesse Kempson. And they have a forced video footage that's going around, and we can post a video later on too on the podcast page on IG. But like, it looks like a traditional date. He like takes her out to dinner. They're having a great time, right?
Yeah.
Enjoying himself. She decides to go back to his apartment. Like, they're feeling each other. Like, it seems cool. They're not like making out or anything like super hardcore. They just look very friendly in the elevator.
Yeah.
He murders her that night. I don't
Do we
why.
know? Oh
No. Like, I didn't read that much further, besides like they were showing video clips of all the surveillance footage that they had of him, but they see him like going to the elevator the next morning. He's looking a little suspicious, honestly, but of course what he did now. He goes and grabs a suitcase.
What?
And apparently like and in the midst of like him grabbing a suitcase and like going to get cleaning supplies from like Whole Foods and shit like that, I guess he goes on another Tinder date. And then he apparently put her body in like the fetal position in the suitcase, and then went to clean out his car and like everything else. And every single step of his is caught on camera. Every single step
is caught on camera. Oh yeah, that's the other thing, guys. Like, there are cameras everywhere, on the street, in the hotel, in the elevator, at the ATM. I mean, everywhere. So this is what I've done. One of the last times I went on a date, even though a lot of people knew this guy in the community that I'm in, like, I didn't really know him yet. So like, my best friend John has my location, and then my best friend Robin also, I gave her my location, like up to date location, so that they knew, and my dad even knew where I was at too. You know what I mean? Wow.
Like, and who I was with. Oh, and I only do that for like safety purposes, right? And actually, I didn't like call my dad and let him know. Like, I didn't begin a flat tire. And my dad was like, "Who are you with? Where are you at?" And I'm like, I told him everything, and he was like, "Who's this person? Let me know. Like, let me know when you're safe." You know what I mean?
Right.
And I was like, "Yeah, just like a date." And so I think it's good at least to have that too. But like, safety blanket.
Let me just say, like, for location, like, her location would be in the same place.
His place, right?
Right? Or hotel.
The whole day.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
It was his location. Like, so think about it, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
So like, if I'm on a date, both of them are going to text me the next morning, if not that night. if they don't hear from me and be like, how was it? Oh my
yes,
God. Right?
Yes.
And if I'm not responding and then you still see at the place and then it's at his place all day long, you're like, what the fuck's going on?
Okay.
I mean, not saying it would have prevented her murder. Obviously, it happened that night, but I'm just saying, like, cautionary wise.
Yeah. And
It's
maybe
just
you
good.
maybe you have a conversation with the person too of like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, everybody has my location. That's just like what I do, and just like, just casually, like, and if they're cool, they're like, oh yeah, I get it. Like, you just want to stay safe. If not, they're like, maybe I shouldn't murder this one. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
She's got things
like,
in place.
Yeah, like, what's your address? Because I'm just going to text it to my dad really quick so that he knows where I'm at. I don't even, like, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
I know these are things we don't think about, but at the same time, until stuff like this happens, you're like, holy shit, I am literally going on a date with a stranger who I might have talked to for like a week, if not more, online. And now I'm going to their place.
It's
like,
so
there's
true.
Predators out there who are totally going to take advantage of this. I just thought it was freaky. I mean, granted, it's in New Zealand, but there's psychos in America.
Sure, but I love that he also went on another Tinder date. Like, what?
Is that fucking great?
And like, here's the other thing. Like, we also are very trusting in ways like that, right? Where it's like, I'll just get into an Uber, like, by myself.
A stranger's
dude
fucking car,
right?
Yeah.
And like, the app is tracking and stuff like that, but I mean, they won't be tracking if I'm freaking murdered or not or whatever. Like,
true.
And
the app has gotten a lot safer because, like, they purposely have you on a particular route, and if they take you off that route, which has happened before, Uber will text you and say, "Hey, is everything okay?" But I remember at the commencement of Uber, I think, like, when it first started, I took my mom in an Uber in San Diego back in like 2014, and she was like, are we getting into a stranger's car? I'm like, Mom. I was like, Mom, it's the exact same as a cab.
Isn't that so funny?
Car.
Like, my mom and dad do the same thing. They're like, I'm not going to... I go, why don't you just get Uber? Because my dad will, like, go out to the brewery and stuff. And I'm like, just get an Uber app on your phone. No, man, I'm just going to get in some... And, like... older people like are actually voice of reason in that way. It sounds like they're boomers, but they're like, I'm not gonna just get into a stranger's car. What are you talking about? And we're like, come on, don't be crazy. It's Uber. It's Tinder. It's no big deal. But I mean, that's
true though.
Crazy. So well as trying to find a commitment, you also have to keep yourself alive. You also have to keep yourself fucking safe. I mean,
stay
Jesus
alive.
Christ.
Yeah. Okay, but here's the thing. So, if you do make it out of the date alive, that's so fucked up.
Sure.
We have such dark humor.
Yeah.
And if you are to hook up with the individual, so there's girls. This is really fucking funny. There are girls going around after they hook up with guys.
Yeah.
And they are sending them a text message and saying, hey, just to let you know, I rate every single guy I hook up with on a scale from 1 to 10, and here's your rating.
Oh my God.
And by the way, if you would like to know why you got this rating and if you would like some suggestions on how to improve it, then you need to Venmo me like whatever amount of money.
Oh my God. Are people getting money?
Dude, so many girls are getting money from so much shit nowadays. Like there's this other girl who was saying that this dude kept playing her, right? Like just breadcrumbing and like being inconsistent and coming in. And she was like, listen, if you want to keep talking to me and doing this shit, you got to start paying me for my time. Yeah. Like, no joke, my time is money. So if you want to keep talking, you need to send me $100 for my nails. And he was like, no. And he like fought for it for a while and finally was like, okay, how much do you need me to send me again for your nails?
Wow.
Because he wanted to talk to her that bad. So she's just like, listen, if you want to play me and like eat up my time, go on, boo-boo. But at least you're going to pay me for it. So apparently this girl gave this guy a 6.5 rating out of a 10. And he was like, are you fucking serious? And she was like, listen, if you want to know why, and if you want some suggestions for your improvement, your wife will thank me. Your future wife will thank me.
Oh my gosh. I love this. I know.
Is that? It's slightly toxic, but it's kind of funny.
Sure. But look, only if they're like, they're being dicks. You can tell like, when a guy's starting to ghost or breadcrumb you or whatever, you could be like, okay, I'm going to fuck with him now. And just, So look, not to everyone and not to nice guys, whatever. But when someone's trying to fuck with you, hell yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sure. Yeah. Fuck with you. Oh, all day long. This is a little taste of their own medicine. I will say though, I'm totally for the communication part of it, of being like, maybe not directly after having sex or hooking up, you know, or
sure.
But
I
wouldn't
give him
mind
a second. Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind asking a guy and being like, hey, if you had to rate that from 1 to 10, what would you give it? I guess. And then what, or actually, I don't even want to know fucking 1 to 10, honestly.
No.
I would just, I guess personally me, sometimes I would want to know like, hey, is there anything I could do better? But then here's the thing too, the slippery slope of that, right?
Yes.
Unless I'm going to keep hooking up with just them, then it doesn't, like, you know, they could give me some overall arching critiques or opinions, but like every person's different. You know, like if I'm like, hey, what could I have done? What did you like that? Oh, cool. What could I have done to make it better? And then I go to the next guy, let's just say, and I do that to him, and he's like, oh, I don't like that. It's fucking weird. It's like,
yeah,
oh,
exactly.
well.
Exactly. But again, I think that happens when they like knew that they were a fuckboy or whatever, and they wanted to just be like, hey, because again, you can tell. And especially if you're like professional dater, as you say, where it's like you do go on the online dates all the time, you say yes to everything just to get a meal or whatever, and then you're just like, you know what, I can tell what this guy is all about, I'm gonna go ahead and fuck with him. I get that, but
kudos to the women out there who like go on dates all the time, and even just to like maybe get a meal if that's the case too, because like it is so draining to me to have like, I don't know if anyone else feels that way, but try to have conversations like,
oh god,
with people,
just
you know,
the first initial, as soon as I get that question of what's your story, so what's your story,
what do you do for fun,
I always
how
tell
many
them,
siblings do you have, what's your favorite color, like shut the fuck up,
what's your
like,
favorite color,
6
what
years.
are we, 5? Yeah. I just like want to say, like, when people would ask me that, I'd be like, I build model trains. It's my thing.
Do it.
Yeah, I have a whole basement. I have a whole like a whole station, everything. I have little trees and men, and just be like, what do you mean? What's my hobby? Do you remember that question? It doesn't really happen anymore, but
yeah.
Back in the day,
what do you do for fun?
What do you do for fun?
Yeah, for fun.
My answer is always, I eat and I drink. What do you do?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I get, yes.
What do you mean? I'm living a fucking life. Like,
I work.
You know, I sleep for 8 hours a day. I work for their 8 hours. I'm like cleaning. I'm cooking. Like, what do you mean? What do I do for fun? I'm surviving.
I would love to go on a date with someone that, I mean, I'm not going to go on a date, sorry. But back in the day, when you don't get that question and you just start fucking talking, vibing, whatever, having fun, there we go. Like,
that's what I mean.
That whole shit of like, I've got prepared questions to whatever.
God, no.
Oh,
that's
man.
not like, that's awkward, isn't it?
Yes. I guess
that's one thing that I have enjoyed about the guys I've been talking. Like, if anyone I've been talking to anyone, it's the conversations flowed for the most part. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's been very like natural. It hasn't been like, well, tell me about your life. Where did you grow up?
What's your story?
Yeah. Oh my God, I can't stand that.
I can't. What's your story? What's your hobby? Nope. Well, it's a shame that you're not in studio, but
I know, but I'll be listening.
You'll be listening, and you actually posed a question on Broettes. I put one on mine this morning, just asking you guys if you had any questions for a professional dating coach that actually charges a lot of money. So listen, guys, free advice. And you guys answered, so I'll be asking her your questions and, you know, trying to get you guys some free coaching. You know, that's just
like
what we do here.
Legitimate coaching, not just from James and myself.
Right. Like, we're a mess, okay? And like, all we can offer you is like 2 messes that are messes with you, and you're not alone in the mess. But it'd be nice to have someone that's like, hey, no, actually really do this. And we're like, okay, fine. We're not going to do it, but, you know.
Sounds good, though.
Sounds good. So stay tuned after the sponsors for that interview. And Tiff, I will talk to you next week. Yes, let's get to some sponsors. Our show is sponsored by ghostbed.com /. Nope. not forward splash. It's / Drinking Bros. You guys know this by now, right? GhostBed has been with us for over 5 years now, sponsoring every show, helping us through this process. We love them. They have super comfortable mattresses that last forever, and they're made in the USA. Every mattress has a 20-year warranty, and you can try it out for 101 nights. If you don't like it, you can send it back. No hard feelings. GhostBed is the premier bed in a box. That's how everybody is getting their beds right now. If you're not, you're in the dark ages. GhostBed also offers bundles, so you can get everything you need. You don't even really have to think about it. Just choose from their 4 mattresses and then pick your bundle. So whether you just need a mattress and a frame, or you want it all, like their cooling pillows and sheets and adjustable bases and pillow toppers, you can get the best bang for your buck. Right now, GhostBed is offering a flash sale, 40% off GhostBed bundles, where you get a mattress and adjustable base, or 30% off everything if you use code DrinkingBros at ghostbed.com/drinkingbros. Next up, we have Cardomax.com, helping you achieve your max. Teased it at the beginning of the show. Cardomax is so nice, we have to talk about them twice. We put a lot of terrible stuff in our bodies here at Drinking Broettes. Chances are, if you're a listener of this show, you're on a pretty consistent poison regimen as well. And that's fine. We don't judge, but you've got to balance that out. Life is all about balance. That's why we love Cardomax. When we need a clean, healthy pick-me-up. Cardomax Energy Intensifier uses the least amount of ingredients as possible. There's absolutely no junk in there. And this is, you guys are familiar with liquid energy. So these are little packets of liquid energy. You put them in anything that you're drinking, and it's going to pick you up off the floor, out of the bed, get you into the gym, get through the 2 o'clock slump, whatever you need it for. There's going to be no jitters, no crash, no, weird feeling. It's made with the best ingredients and vitamins, as well, as I teased at the beginning of the show. Their flavors are amazing. They have blue raspberry and pink lemonade. My favorite is blue raspberry. Come on. And right now, Cardomax is offering Drinking Broettes an exclusive offer of 30% off your next 4 orders. Go to cardomax.com and use promo code BROETTES. That's cardomax.com, CARDOMAX.com, and use promo code BROETTES, and you will get 30% off your next 4 orders. That's cardomax.com, helping you achieve your max. Next up, we have a new sponsor, but one of our favorites, ShipStation. Have you heard of ShipStation? You must have. We use them here at Tetherball Academy. Tiffany uses them for her business. We all have passions that push us to do big things in life, like selling your crafts or clothes online, all out of a deep burning love for logistics and order management. No one's passion is logistics and order management. If it is, no judgment, but probably not anyone over here. That's why there's ShipStation. They make it easier to manage your orders and get your products out the door so you can get back to doing what you really love, growing your business. ShipStation is the #1 choice of online sellers. You can import orders from any sales channel, ship with any carrier using ShipStation's deeply discounted rates, and automate just about any shipping task. No wonder when over 100,000 online sellers choose ShipStation. No matter how you sell, Shopify, Etsy, your own website, ShipStation funnels all your orders into one simple interface that you can manage from anywhere, even your cell phone. You'll even get access to amazing discounts with major carriers, including UPS, FedEx, USPS. Easily compare carriers and choose the best solution every time. If you do anything online where you are shipping out a bunch, if you find yourself at the post office all the time, even if you don't have a business, but if you're just tired of having to go all the time, go to ShipStation. Ship more in less time for a lot less money. Just use my code BROETTES to get a 60-day free trial. That's 2 months free of no hassle, stress-free shipping. Just go to ShipStation.com, click on the microphone at the top of the page and type in BROETTES. That's ShipStation.com. Enter offer code BROETTES. Make ship happen. Now I hope you enjoy my interview with Elsa Marek. Studio, I mean, as promised, Broettes, this is our very special interview with Elsa Marek, the what would we call professional dating coach. I've heard different things. I've heard you on other podcasts. I've heard dating coach for millennials, like dating in the swiping age. How would you describe what it is that your focus is now? And I'm sure it's changed over the years, but.
Yeah, it definitely has. I mean, when I first started, I was a millennial dating coach. I feel like I was helping my past self.
Perfect. Yes. Learning from your mistakes and then looking back. Okay.
Totally. And then as things evolved, you probably know this because you're a business owner, certain people start to find you that you didn't even expect. So as my business grew and evolved, I actually started helping people that were divorced and in their mid 40s and people who were very young, like Gen Zers, who are just what is even dating? What is even talking to someone in person?
What is it now?
Yeah. So it's evolved, and I help everyone, I would say, in terms of age range. It's
okay.
Yeah. But it's still in the swiping era.
Right. So you're helping different age range, but you can't change the game.
Yep.
The game is what it is. You're just helping people play it, right? Mm-hmm. And so we have mostly women listeners, mostly broettes, but we are an offshoot of the Drinking Bros podcast. We do have some man fans that are here mostly to get kind of an insight into maybe what their wife is thinking, their girlfriend's thinking, what girls talk about. So when we hear dating coach, you kind of assume oh, she's a dating coach, she's helping women, right? So you do help both, but you are specifically working with men. Mm-hmm. Can we talk about how that transition happened and what that is for you now?
Totally. Yeah. So I'll preface by saying that I love supporting my sisters.
Right.
It's very fun for me to work with women because I can relate.
Yes.
And how I evolved to working with men honestly happened by accident. So, and by the way, I love supporting my men, obviously. That's why I have a whole book about it.
Absolutely.
But it was a series of events. So first I was approached by a publisher last year to write a book for men.
Okay.
And as I started writing a book about men, I started naturally attracting more male clients. And then I noticed that there's actually not a lot of women helping men.
It's true.
It's very rare. And I saw a need for it because these men, they really wanted insight from a woman. They're trying to attract women who think like me, and they want to know how we think.
Yes.
So I saw a need, and that was kind of my first foray into it. And then I got on TikTok, and I started just making advice videos, and the ones for men just kept blowing up. They just kept going viral. And I felt like I'm spiritual. So I felt like the universe was telling me, you need to work with men.
Yes.
And so I just pivoted, and I still have female clients.
Okay.
I'm just I'm actively speaking to men online.
Yeah. But ladies, that's actually helping us. You see that?
Totally.
That's inadvertently she's trying to turn these guys into respectable men with character, integrity, open, honest communication, which is what we say on this show. Anytime we do an advice show or an advice segment at the end, and 9 times out of 10, our answer is just communicate. Just communicate what you're feeling to that person, and then you go from there. But if you're sitting there just seething, resentful, wanting them to read your mind, they cannot do it. And nor can we with them, right?
Yep.
So in a way, you are actually helping your sisters by helping these dudes, right? Now, when they come to you, they have to want some kind of commitment, right? In order to want a dating coach, right?
Yeah, great question. So firstly, I just wanted to comment on what you said about inadvertently helping women.
Yeah.
Because this is really important to me. And my birthday was yesterday.
Yes.
I just turned 30.
Happy birthday. I thought you were
Thank
going to come
you.
in all hungover, but you're like, I worked. I was like, okay, I wanted a party story, but it's cool. It's cool. You'll party this weekend.
I will. Yeah.
Okay,
I'll
okay.
definitely celebrate still. But
Okay.
I had a conversation with my mom, and, it was a very honest conversation around like my purpose. Like,
Yeah.
what am I here to do? And something that's really important to me is to have a big picture why. Like, I can't put my energy behind something if there isn't like a really deep why that hits home. And so by helping men, I am helping women, because
Yes.
there is so much disconnect between men and women nowadays. And the gap keeps getting bigger and bigger, ironically,
Yeah.
even though we have more freedom now and we don't really need to be codependent anymore because, women are doing their own thing. Like,
Yeah.
ironically, there's a wider gap now more than ever before, I believe. So by helping men get very clear on what they want, and by helping them communicate that honestly and effectively, what I'm hoping will continue to happen is that there will be a bridge between men and women, and that as men start to model better emotional intelligence, higher emotional intelligence, that they'll actually inspire women to relax more.
Yes.
And to be more, one way of putting it is to be in their feminine, but another way of putting it is just to be themselves.
Yes.
And to just be more comfortable being led and being with men who really know what they want. So that's really how I see my work.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Thank you. Yeah. And so, men are looking for a commitment when they come to me, but it doesn't always look the same. So,
Right.
for some men, like I have a client, I'm going to change names, obviously, just to respect everyone's privacy. But like I have a client named Victor, and he is 28. He doesn't really have a lot of dating experience, and his commitment isn't really to be in a monogamous relationship right now. It's also not to date 5 women, but it is to just gain experience and to learn what he wants through the process.
In a constructive way, and not just like,
Yes.
sorry, but fuckboy style, right?
No,
so he
not
wants
at
to
all.
actually get experience without hurting people, without becoming some kind of, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No guy I ever work with is going to be a fuckboy.
Exactly. That's
You're
what I
not about to drop like several $1,000s on a dating coach because you want to go out and waste people's time. Like usually by that
Exactly.
point, you're pretty clear that you're a quality person.
Right.
And you want quality connections.
Right. But what you're saying is that not all your clients are coming to you like, I need to get married. They're coming to you with an openness, which
Yes.
I'm sure is what a prerequisite. Like you have to at least be open to the process, right?
Yes, definitely.
And
You have to
don't
be
have to get
coachable.
married at the end. You don't need to get engaged. You don't even need to be in a long-term relationship, but just learning those tools, which I love in your book, Dating for Men, is just a lot of it. If you turn to any page, like a lot of it is transparency, openness. And I do like what you said about inadvertently helping women to open up and be in their feminine, because a lot of times, like I said on this show, we have a lot of women listeners. We are women too. So we're kind of like, what the fuck is guys' problem, right? Without looking inward and being like, okay, but what am I doing? What is my past experience with guys? What kind of wall am I putting up so that he can't get through it? So it is, I like that it's a two-way street. And our thing too on the show is taking accountability for our own fucking shit that we do. Sorry. We
No,
curse.
totally.
So, but our own shit. Like we're not
Yeah.
fucking perfect and waiting for guys to come be perfect. So I like that when you said being your feminine, because it's hard, and it's hard for women now too, because you feel like you can get taken advantage of,
Yep.
you can get whatever, but how do you let a man lead? And it's a hard one. It's a hard one do you find that?
It's very hard, but what I'm learning in my own experience is that it's actually very courageous.
Yes.
So like one of my biggest hangups with being more in my feminine was that I didn't want to give up my power. But what I wasn't realizing was that wasn't really true power. It was just a wall.
Yep. Because then you go home at night and we're
Yeah.
still crying about it.
Exactly.
Even though we put on, I call it bitch armor.
Yeah.
Like if I have to deal with a fucking plumber or something and I have to put on bitch armor, when I'm done, I'm drained. I'm like crying because I'm not that, right? It's not natural.
It's not natural, and it's not our fault either. Like
Right.
we adapt, women adapt to what society asks us to adapt to.
Yeah.
And society is still predominantly masculine.
Yeah.
So that's why we have put on this bitch armor.
Yeah, because we want to be in the conversation. We want to be at the table. In order to do that, you got to buck up. Don't be a little girly girl. Don't be high maintenance. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she's high maintenance. Oh, why? Because she like wants to look good and her hair done or whatever it is. Interesting. I like this. So in your we talked a little bit about your book. So the publisher came to you for to write a book for men, and at that time you weren't specifically working with men.
No, I was working with both.
With both.
Yeah.
Okay. And because, and again, I've heard you on other podcasts, you seem to be very much like, let the universe kind of tell you. So is this it? Is there something else that the universe is kind of telling you a different direction? What
Based
is it
on
now?
yeah, thanks for asking that. Based on results, I think that right now I am meant to focus on men.
Yes.
And what I mean by results is like I've had 2 videos get over 2 million views in the last, I don't know, like month and a half.
Yes.
And they're both talking to men.
Yes.
And the book's doing great. And I see a need, and I also see how it translates into the bigger picture, which is being a liaison between men and women, because that's what I really want. I just want to see more people experience what it's like to be able to communicate your needs and to be able to just feel compassion for the other side. So if you're a man, feeling compassion for women, and if you're a woman, feeling compassion for men. And I just facilitated a conversation last week between my male clients and a panel of women. And it was so beautiful to see how these women, who are all like, what they all have in common is they're financially independent.
Right.
They're beautiful. They have a really adventurous, full life. They take care of their health.
Yeah.
And they're just all around cool people. And what was so interesting is that they were feeling a lot of the same things as the men, but they had no idea that men were feeling that way. And they had no idea that men were investing in themselves at this level and really seeking to understand them. So it was really, really cool to see how, you know, even though it was for men to learn from women, the women ended up learning so much from the men.
Yeah.
And what ended up happening, which was my intention, is that they both left feeling way more compassion for the other side.
And it's just meeting in the middle.
It's just
not
meeting in the
going
middle.
all the way to the other side.
Exactly.
Of thinking like a man, doing
No.
whatever they need, or vice versa. But it's meeting in the middle. And I like what you said about with compassion, then we can start to be like, okay, so why do you do that then? Instead of like, men always, right? Women always.
Yeah.
And it's like, but why?
But why? Exactly.
But why? And so you were like a moderator?
I was a moderator. Yeah. So I had the men submit questions beforehand.
Okay.
And the women showed up. They kind of knew what they were going to be asked, but they were mostly asked it on the spot.
Right.
And I mean, everyone was like, I was worried that people weren't going to like fully participate.
Yeah.
But like they were talking over each other, like they were excited. And
Okay.
we like ran out of time and people were still commenting. So it showed me how much room there is for this right now.
Yeah.
For people to have these conversations.
And you are Austin based.
I am.
Okay. How long have you been here?
I've been here for 6 years.
Oh my gosh, you're an Austinite.
I'm basically an Austinite.
So I've been here for a year, just dealing with like the cedar fever thing.
It'll
All
pass.
of those, it'll pass.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone
It'll
that's been
pass.
here is like, calm down.
Yeah.
Calm down. It'll pass. Do you see yourself being here long term as far as your practice and everything? You love it?
So I've lived everywhere.
Okay.
My parents are both Lebanese. So I was born in Indianapolis.
Okay.
And then we moved to Lebanon when I was 8.
Okay.
And then we moved to Japan 2 years after that.
Okay.
So as I was turning 11, I landed in this very different place in Japan. I was in Japan until I was 17. So I graduated high school there.
Okay.
I went to an American high school in Japan. And then I went to Lebanon again for university, which was my parents' plan,
Sure.
which I loved. And then I left Lebanon at the age of 23, moved to El Paso, Texas, had a huge culture shock, even though I've had many in my life. But at that point, I was an adult and I could actually decide.
Yeah.
Well, when I was younger, I didn't really have a choice because my parents were in control. But at 23, I was like, oh no, I'm not doing this. So then I left to Europe and I spent like 5 months just like traveling around Europe. And then I moved to Austin.
Okay.
And my practice, I serve people everywhere. So I have people in Austin.
You can do remote. You can do.
I do remote. Yeah. So I have clients in Qatar. I have clients in Dubai. I have clients in California and Florida. So it really varies.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also do have a pretty big local clientele as well.
Okay.
And I do plan to stay here. I love Austin.
Yes.
It's a combination of all the places I've lived.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
It's a good melting pot. Do you feel like even it's getting better with more people moving here, or
I think so. Yeah,
it's okay if you don't think so.
No, I do think so, because I mean I'm a transplant, so
right.
I mean there are people like you who were successful somewhere else, and you're bringing that momentum, that energy, that inspiration here. So I think it's great.
And I do find it's people that are successful with like off the beaten path stuff that come here because they're like, okay, that's where the weirdos go. I guess I got to go there, right?
And they're humble.
Yes.
Like you come here and you're very successful and you have a lot of momentum and work ethic.
Yeah.
But you're also very humble. I find that this place draws in a lot of humble people.
Yeah. That are just, they don't think they're the, best in the world, but they want to make something work in a place with other people that are making stuff work.
Which means it's a great city to date.
Exactly.
It's a great city to date in.
Which is job security for you. I want to talk a little bit about credentials only because I know that when people hear coach, dating coach, they think like, oh, did they just call themselves that?
Yeah.
What I love about your story, which you can talk about, is that you actually have a background in both psychology and then decided to get fully certified and not just be like, oh, I'm a dating coach, right? So talk about how that kind of came about.
Totally. Yeah. And I think that the future of coaching will be more like monitored isn't really, I'm trilingual. So sometimes I will confuse words.
That's totally fine.
Just as a FYI. Or like the word won't come, but something similar to it will come.
Yeah.
So right now what's coming is monitor, but I don't really know that's the word. But I think coaching will eventually it'll be mandatory to have some kind of certification.
Yes.
But
and maybe there'll be more of more facilities or some kind of ways to certify, or did you like your actual certification that you did?
Yeah. I mean, there already are a lot of ways to get certified, but there's only one organization worldwide that is actually credible, which is the ICF, the International Coach Federation.
Okay.
So they have certain ethics that you have to abide by as a coach.
Right.
And so I wasn't certified by them because they don't actually certify people, but they do accredit like smaller companies that certify people and who follow their ethics.
Got it.
Basically.
Yeah.
So when I first started, it was actually my mom's idea. She was like, I think you should get...
Isn't it always the mom's
I know. And they're always right.
No. And you fight it, and then
you fight it.
Oh,
yeah.
Remember when my mom said I should do
well,
podcasting or coaching or whatever? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she's a doctor. She's a pediatrician, and she got American board certified way before it was necessary. And then it became necessary, and it gets way harder to get certified once it's actually mandatory because everyone's trying to do it. So it was her idea. She was like, if you're going to do this, do it the right way, like get certified. So yeah, to get the certification, you have to have at least 500 hours of coaching. Okay. You have to be monitored. Like it's a whole process, but I'm really grateful to it because what a lot of people call coaching isn't actually coaching, which is the first thing I learned.
Yes, I think that's what that it gets kind of thrown around a lot, or like I'm a coach, I'm a life coach, and you're kind of like, okay. And you ask them why, and it's like, I just love helping people. And you're like, that's great, and that is great. But when you are in a situation, as I'm sure you know, therapy-wise, you don't want to be misled, or you don't want to mislead people.
Totally,
right?
yeah. Because they're different. Like I tell my clients sometimes, I'm going to oscillate between being a consultant and a coach for you. Because when I first started, I was following my training to the T. So I was like just coaching. And coaching, which you probably know, it's honestly just marrying another person. It's not like there's no advice.
Yeah.
There's no teaching.
Yes.
It's just you mirror them and you keep repeating questions and phrases that they're using until they eventually get like a hunch.
Yeah, like letting them come to.
Yes.
So that you don't take any
Exactly.
heat, right? For telling them something. But a lot of people want to just tell me what to do.
Exactly.
Please. I've gone to therapy before where I'm like, can you just tell me what to do, please? I don't want to talk about my mom or my dad. Just tell me what to do.
And that's what I started seeing. So I made a decision to start consulting as well.
Okay.
So I started telling people like this relationship is going to oscillate between coaching and consulting. Because what I started finding was that sometimes they really don't have the answer. It's like, I actually really don't know how to respond to this person. Like, I don't know what to respond. I don't know what to say because I've never been in this situation before. And I'm genuinely looking for support.
Yes.
For direction.
Yes.
So then now it's, and you know, the more you like, I've done this for a while now, so I can kind of tell when someone just needs coaching where it's like they already have the answer.
Yeah.
But there's a blind spot covering it up. Or when they just flat out need me to be like, all right, I'm going to put on my consultant hat. Like, this is what you need to do here.
Yeah. And that's just the missing piece. And so you did go to school for psychology,
Marketing and psychology.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think I heard you say too that like when you hear about, because I thought about counseling as well, therapy, like being a therapist, and I was like, when I saw A, the schooling, and then B, the free hours that you had to do and working for someone, and then what and all of that, it's quite daunting. And then you think about getting to that point, and am I still gonna feel this excited about it, or do I capitalize on the excitement and the people that are coming to you already? Do you think it kind of helped you to have that insight and do a little bit of psychology?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I have clients who have therapists and who work with me.
Right.
And we both serve different purposes. So therapy's, you know, really good for unpacking the past.
Yes.
It's really good for like understanding patterns and just like pinpointing the source of certain anxieties and beliefs and what have you. Coaching is more like, okay, well, where do we go from here?
Yeah.
So they sometimes
future.
together they work really well. The future. Yeah.
Perfect.
Present and future focused.
Because not all of us, I mean, sometimes people need to, but not all of us want to get into the past. But I guess do you find with dating and in your coaching that it is kind of good to know about parents and how that all worked out, or past relationships? Or is it really
I love this
just
question.
like, yeah,
Yeah,
what do you
I love
think?
this question. So when I first started, I placed a lot more weight on the past.
Yeah.
Like I would take people through, you've probably heard of attachment styles.
Yes.
And I still believe that that is very important. But what I've learned is until you repeatedly take new action, until you repeatedly practice new beliefs and new behavior, nothing really changes. So it's good to have the past piece because it allows you to connect dots like, oh, I attracted you because you remind me a lot of my dad.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
We're recreating the same dynamic I had as a child.
Sure.
Cool.
Cool.
But if it just stays there, then nothing really changes. So then it's like, well, where do you go from there? So something that I'll coach my clients on is, okay, so you've been on 5 dates. You're starting to see that this person reminds you of a parent, which makes a lot of sense. That's why you're attracted to them. That's the chemistry.
Right.
That we're also like, oh my God, we have so much chemistry. It's like, no, really, they just feel like home.
Oh
and not in the best way.
Triggering. I know. Okay. Yep. You're right. You're right.
So it's like, okay, cool. Well, that's probably always going to happen. So, you know, you can accept that. But like, how do you be proactive about it? And that's where like a lot of the coaching comes in, where it's like, here's how you communicate about how you want to be treated as an adult, because you don't want to recreate the same patterns as a child. And, you know, what
fall into those same roles of
exactly.
Like you're following. Yeah.
And that's just what we do unconsciously. Like we just try to repeat the hero's journey. We try to create the hero's journey by being like, I'll choose someone who reminds me exactly of that parent that I never really resolved my conflict with, so that I can like re-traumatize myself. But this time I'll come out as the winner. And it like never works out that way. So that's why I think like the past is useful to know that much.
To know which pattern you need to break.
Exactly.
But then once you figure that out, let's just move forward and break it.
Yep,
Okay.
exactly. So like, how do you communicate with that person? How do you set boundaries so that because as a child, we don't know how to set
don't.
boundaries.
Yeah.
You just don't.
Definitely not with your parents, right?
Exactly.
I mean, you try,
Because they're the
but-
adults. Like, they
Yes.
know everything.
Yes.
So you either rebel, which doesn't work, or, either way, you don't really have boundaries.
Yeah.
So as an adult, like, how do you make sure that you are creating a conscious connection with someone?
Yeah. Wow. Well, we talk a lot on the show about the guys that we choose and the guys that we are just attracted to, and it's a problem. I like drummers. Okay. I like them to have a little bit of a drinking problem and be emotionally unavailable. That's like what I mean by that is if that person walks in the room, my eyes are going right over there. But the nice guy that is, you know what I mean?
Yep.
That you probably should,
Yep.
either nice or whatever the person that you should be is not even looked at. Is there, I know that's like a woman question, sorry, but like, what would you,
Still fine, yeah.
what would you say
Well-
to that? Because we're trying to like break, my co-host is single.
Yeah.
And she's dating all the wrong, we're dating all the wrong people, right? But that's the person like that we're attracted to.
But what if,
Yep.
I'm just going to give you another possibility.
Please.
What if he's not the wrong person? It's just like, what if by changing the way that you relate to the quote unquote wrong men, they could actually become the right men?
That's what we think.
Yeah. There's parameters. There's parameters
Okay.
within this. Okay.
Right.
Obviously.
Right.
So
yeah, you're not going to be like abused or deal with
Exactly.
anything like that. But
And
okay.
you're also like, if you're dating someone who all of his friends are single and all of his friends are constantly on a rampage to sleep with as many women as possible,
Sure.
no one wants to have any kind of quality connection. That's one thing.
Okay.
But if you're with a guy who's, been a bachelor for a while, it seems kind of like, I don't personally, this is a radical idea. I don't really believe in emotional unavailability. I just don't.
Okay.
I believe that some men, I believe all men, are only emotionally unavailable to the women that they're not interested in. But I
That's
believe that
true.
if the right woman comes along, right meaning like there's actually a connection that man values enough,
and they're both coming to the middle of the line together. And okay.
then he does become emotionally available. So it's when I hear women say men aren't like, he's not emotionally available, what I really hear them saying is he's not emotionally unavailable. He's not emotionally available to me.
Right.
And
And so you think that that's how he is, but it's something where we're closed off or something too that we don't understand, and we're not being open or feminine or whatever it may be. But okay, I hear
Or
that.
what if it's not even that? What if it's just that your instincts are clashing? Because
Yeah.
men and women have different expectations out of dating.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is tied to our instincts. So, whether or not you want to be a mother, if you're listening to this, whether or not you want to be a mother, you still have biology that you have to navigate.
Right.
Because it's not a conscious choice. Consciously, you might say, I don't want to be a mother.
Right.
Which is perfectly fine, but your body isn't
It's telling you.
Yeah, your body's still
Dealing with
dealing with
trying to get
biology.
pregnant. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
so you might have that memo, but your body doesn't have that memo. So
Okay.
you are putting out this kind of okay, so do you want to be in a serious relationship or not energy? And he's just he has no timeline. Like, men don't have a timeline.
he's saying give me a second. You're saying I don't have a sec. Whatever it may be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so that is one thing that will push men away, is if they feel, and it's actually very endearing why it pushes them away. I used to kind of just think that men weren't empathetic.
Yeah.
And oh, you guys just want it all and you don't even want to understand what's happening with us. But that's actually not what's happening.
Okay.
It's endearing because what they don't want is to just be another thing that's checked off of your list.
Right.
They actually want
I've
to
got
feel
this. I've got the thing. Now I
Yeah.
need the guy. Yeah.
they actually want to feel like you really like me for me and you appreciate me, and it has nothing to do with your timeline or what your plans are. It's more about me. That's what you're really into.
Right.
So when a man senses that you're operating on some kind of schedule, that will push him away, and it becomes kind of this cycle. So I believe that our instincts get in the way a lot when it comes to dating. We communicate to men as if we're communicating to women.
Right.
Because that's what feels
Yes.
right. That's what's intuitive.
And vice versa, right?
And vice
Yeah,
versa.
yeah.
Men talk to us the way that they would talk to each other. So what if by changing the way that you communicate, assuming that he's not a total a-hole,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
But like, if he's just like a guy who's really passionate about his life and he's not actively looking for a partner, which is honestly kind of like normal. It's like quite normal.
Yeah.
And then he can become emotionally available to you.
What do you say to what was I? Sorry, I was so into what you were saying.
Good. I'm glad that you can't pre-plan the next question.
Yeah, I was thinking of so men and women. Oh my gosh, I can't even think. I have 2 kids. One of them ripped his fingernail off last night.
Oh no!
So he was up all night. So you were saying when you were saying that you couldn't come up with words, I was like, I can't either. It's for a different reason. I speak English, but yeah, it's for a different reason. But I think it was more about the men and women dynamic. So what do you say about I think it's an old adage. Maybe it's something that's kind of maybe rings true, but men need to feel needed. Is that something that you find, or is that like a crazy old school?
It's so funny because men will say things to me sometimes, and obviously not all men, but like a lot of men that I work with will say things to me like, I don't want to be needed.
Okay.
That's what they say consciously.
Sure.
But then they actually really want that, because when a woman makes a man feel like there's just no pieces in the puzzle remaining for him, like she has it all figured out, and he just doesn't really fit in anywhere, like that usually repels men.
Right.
So I think that some men think that they don't want to be, what they're really trying to say is, I don't want someone who's going to be codependent.
Right.
Which is, no one wants that.
Right.
Women don't want that either.
No.
So I think that men definitely still want to be needed 100%. They just want to be appreciated.
Yes.
When they are needed and utilized, they just want to feel appreciated.
Yes. And it feels a little bit, and I know you're seeing this as far as like dating in this era, but that our women are kind of pushing against that and being like, and the whole feminine thing, I'll go back to that, like being in your feminine, like women are pushing against that of like, I want to be someone that doesn't need a man. And it's kind of creating this cycle, and maybe I'm a little bit more old school, but it sounds like you aren't, but you're actually just seeing a base because of all the guys that you're talking to, women that you're talking to. You see a baseline of like, look, it's simple, right? Not simple,
it's simple, but it's not easy.
It's not easy, but
yeah,
we're fighting it.
We are fighting it, and
I know I do too. But
and it's not our fault. I always come back to that. Like it is 100% not our fault, because we're just following what is rewarded in society, and what's rewarded in society is like the bad bitch energy, right? Like
boss bitch,
boss
got it
bitch,
handled, doesn't need you. Yep.
Which feels really good.
Yeah.
Like what I love about my work is like it's changed me in my love life.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, I believe that we choose vocations based on what, like the biggest mystery that we're trying to solve for ourselves.
Yes.
And so, and my vocation in big part has been that. And when I first started my business and I started getting momentum, like that's the energy that I brought to dates. I brought the energy of like, oh, I have it all figured out.
Yeah.
Like I'm an author. I'm, like leading with my accomplishments, because
like giving them your resume.
Exactly.
And being like,
because that's what society shows us that we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
But then what I started finding out was, from all the men that I've interviewed, and I've interviewed hundreds at this point, not one man has ever said to me that he wants a woman who makes a lot of money. Like literally not even one man has said that. All they say, what they want is a woman who's passionate, a woman who has something in her life that is bigger than her, that she's going after. But they would absolutely love to support her in any way that they can for her to get there. And it's so interesting, because that's always what I thought men valued. I thought that they valued hearing that, you're making like millions and that you're doing this and you're doing that. And that's actually not, they want to see our heart.
Yes.
They want to see our heart. They want to feel like we have space for them to come in and support us. And that's not what we're taught.
And I'm of that generation as well. Like my mom worked, and she worked more than my dad even, and she was just like badass. The marriage ended, right? But I'm from that era of like, you just got, guys like girls that can hang with the dudes, take care of themselves, all these things that I got messed up. And my mom told me, it's going to sound old fashioned, but she told me when I was having dating troubles getting into my 20s, she said, why don't you just wear like something pink? And I was like, what the fuck? But as simple as that is, right?
I get
I know she didn't know how to articulate like, hey, you're like kind of fucking masculine. Like, it's fine, but like if you're looking for a certain type of guy, she goes like, just wear something pink. Just try pink, right? And as weird as that is, as little as that was, it kind of stuck with me, but keeps getting kind of, until talking to you now, like keeps getting kind of, you know, go back and forth. I talk to certain women and it's not that way. And then, you know, so if I go back to that and then even talking with you now, like that's what she was trying to say is like, just be a little bit more, you don't have to change your ambition, your whatever, but just try and be a little bit more approachable, I guess. Because I definitely wasn't. So, I like that kind of, as weird as that is, I feel like that's a little bit what you're saying.
That's
There's
exactly
more complicated, but
that is exactly what I'm saying in the purest form. I mean, when those women left the panel last week, when I asked everyone for their takeaways and what's one thing that they were going to do differently now as a result of their takeaways, what they all had in common was, I think I'm going to be more approachable. Like, I think I'm just going to like smile more when I'm in public and just like make eye contact with men, because sometimes we get so zoned in, we're like on the hunt, like responding to emails, responding to social media DMs, whatever. Like, we forget that like there are actually men out there who really want to approach, but we're not making an invitation. So it's just not happening. So that's what that's pretty much what they said, was like, I just want to be more approachable.
Gosh, how funny. And then it just goes like, and they've been trying their whole life, because I'm sure they're of that generation as well. They've been trying their whole life to be like that thing that they said that guys wanted. And then all of a sudden it's like, maybe I'll just kind of soften up a little bit. But I like both, right? Like, I'm sure you do too. Like, I like
teach men to lead also. It's not just my responsibility to make the invitation. Like, it's also your responsibility to be assertive, to be decisive, and to take charge. Like, what I love seeing over and over and over again is how many strong women are just dying for a man to take charge, to just be like, I found the spot, it's amazing, like, picking you up, should I come at 7 or 8? Like, just decisiveness, like, lead, guide. So it's like, it's also men's responsibility. We both play a part, and that's partnership. Even that old thing of like asking the woman where she wants to eat and then she never knows. Why don't you just pick it, make the reservation, and tell me where to go? Right? Instead of making this big joke of like, I never know where to eat. Well, there's a reason for that, actually.
Okay, please.
Yeah, there's a scientific reason why we don't know how to answer that question.
Oh my gosh, tell me, please.
And it's not really that we don't know. So it's we are the smaller of the two genders.
Sure.
Right? Obviously, there's exceptions. Obviously, there's outliers. But generally speaking, we are the weaker and the smaller. And because of that, we have a hardwired instinct to be pleasing to men. And the reason being is because we want to be protected by them. We want them to protect us. So when you are going on a date with someone who in that situation is your protector, and they ask you where you want to go, you are giving them the answer that's most pleasing, which is like, I don't know, wherever you want to go.
Wherever you want to go.
And it's not that you don't have a preference. It's just that you're probably thinking to yourself, well, I don't want to choose something too cheap because I don't want to like undermine my value. But I also don't want to choose something too expensive because I don't want to make him think that I'm high maintenance. So I'm just going to like leave it up to him. And he's like,
because we're fine with whatever.
We're fine with whatever. Exactly. Because we're adaptable.
Food poisoning because, you know. Exactly.
We're adaptable. And then men are operating on their instincts, which is to be very literal. So like they're like genuinely asking like, where do you want to go? It's a very literal,
and
it's
they
not
even
a test,
don't care.
And they don't care
just
because they want to make us happy.
So
they're wanting us to give them the answer that's going to make us happy, but we're trying to give them the answer that sounds the most pleasing. So like that's just one example of many of how our instincts clash. But that's why we don't know. It's not
that we don't know.
No, exactly.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not that we don't know. We've just been making decisions all day, and you're taking us out. Just you tell us. Okay. It is true. We do know. And by the way, it's going to be something fattening and big. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, but we don't want to say that either, because then I don't want him to think that I like eat whatever. All the shit that goes along with that. but we know where we want to go.
Yeah, we always know.
Don't
like, come
think that
on,
we
what
don't.
person doesn't like? What woman doesn't know her favorite spots?
Where to eat.
Yeah.
If it was you, like if you're going out with your girlfriends, you're like, I got this spot. Come on, girls, let's go. So,
Exactly.
guys, we know. Just so you know.
Something I've coached my boyfriend on, and feel free to use this with your dates. Like, I've told him this. I've explained this to him. So now when he asks me where I want to go and I answer, he tells me, is that really where you want to go? Or is that the answer that you think would be most pleasing to me?
And you're like, oh, you're learning?
Exactly. And it works.
That.
Like, that extra checkpoint allows me to be like, actually, yeah, I don't really want to go there. Thanks for clarifying with me.
Yeah. Because I would have been fine with it. But if
Yeah.
you're actually asking me where I personally, and I love that has to be like another step of like,
I know.
I'm fine with this place. But then he goes, no, but where would you want to go?
Yep.
Does this stuff just like bend your mind
So much.
sometimes? Because going back and forth, I mean, even just focusing on men must be something where you're like, I just wanted to not be bending my mind back and forth of trying to figure out.
Yeah.
In a way, but yeah.
Well, I kind of love it because to me it's like a game. Like when
It's
I
like putting the puzzle pieces
together, like the day that I decided that emotionally unavailable men just don't exist. Like I just decided that every man is emotionally available as long as I work in partnership with them to bring the best out of them. Like that decision
like,
changed my entire life.
Yeah.
Because my options suddenly got like multiplied.
Yeah.
And not only that, but I no longer had to settle for the guy that I kind of liked.
Right.
That made sense. But like I got to settle for I got to choose the guys that I was super attracted to.
As well as having a conversation.
Exactly.
And emotionally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the main thing is that you feel like you're not necessarily settling, but you're settling for either the nice guy that you're not super attracted or the attracted guy that isn't
gonna treat you right.
But in your words, like not ready for what you want from them. So that's when we feel like, so what you're saying, and I'm sure everyone listening is like, oh yeah, what you're saying is that's not even true. That doesn't exist. And I love that we're all just like, look, I even say with marriage, I'm married, but like, with marriage, it's like you're putting two full lives together of a whole, from childhood to now together. And we're supposed to, do you expect to just get along all the time and everything's, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
There's
totally.
going to be stuff coming up. You're cohabitating with a complete life other than yours and trying to make that work. And it's fucking crazy.
Well, there's this really interesting story that experiment that was told to me by a really cool guy. Actually, his name is Eben Pagan, and he used to be a dating coach for men. Now he works with his wife, and they coach couples.
Perfect.
His partner, Annie Lala, they're freaking amazing. They're also based in Austin. They just moved here.
That's
but
awesome.
anyway, he was sharing about this experiment that they did. I think it was in Iceland, and it was around desensitization. And what they found is that when people spend a lot of time together, like the smallest thing becomes so amplified. So like if you
speaking to me right now.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And like people wanted to kill each other after being in this like cooped up space together for a few, and these people started out as strangers. But like, and the things in the beginning that they didn't even notice just suddenly was like so amplified, like how they open the door, the sound they make when they're cleaning their ears, like how they drink their water, like everything.
How they say this one word, how they sleep, whatever it is. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So that's marriage,
right? And it happens even with strangers that aren't trying to cohabit. Like that's marriage.
Yeah,
the tiniest little thing, and communication. As you say with everything, but communication, open, honest, transparent is good there too. It's the only way I know right now, but yeah.
I mean, I said this to my partner last night because, obviously this is my life's work. So I'm always tuned into this information.
Yeah.
So it's always fresh of mind, top of mind.
Yeah.
For him, he's in a totally different career path, but like, he'll get irritated at small things, and I have to remind him. I'm like, hey, this is what's happening. And if you look up the word relationship in the dictionary, it's not actually a noun. It's not actually an entity. It's not this like separate entity. Relationship is just relating in any given moment.
Right.
That's all a relationship is. So what I was telling him is, you know, our relationship isn't our date night on Thursday.
Right.
That's not our relationship. Our relationship is, how do you treat me on a Tuesday afternoon when you're in between stuff and I'm in between stuff and like there's a lot going on? Like that's our relationship.
Yes.
Because those are the moments that make it up over like that is the opportunity there, is when you're irritated and in a hurry and all these things are happening, the way you speak to me, that's the relationship.
Yes. I didn't know the words for it, but I would tell my husband that. I'm like, love is not when everything's fucking great and right after sex, whatever. Love is when shit's going down, it's stressful. What are you going to do? Whatever it is.
Yep.
That's when love is real. Otherwise, it's just fun and lust and all of these other things.
Which you can have with anyone.
Right?
Yeah.
But, you know, whether you can travel with someone or have a fight with someone and fight constructively, like that's the love part as I know it. But I love that. And I love that you have to keep reminding him.
Because you do. And ladies, if you're listening to this and you're single, this starts when you're on the first date. Like this way of relating.
Yes.
Like you can bring in that realness from the first date and the second date and the third date. Like you can incorporate that realness, because it's really when you drop the guard and you're like really connecting like human to human,
yes,
that you have the opportunity to create whatever relationship you're looking for. So if you want a relationship that's generous, instead of waiting for him to be generous, like be that first.
Yep.
If you're wanting a relationship where you're honest with each other, where you're vulnerable, like be that first.
Yep.
And then create it in the other person.
Show them.
Model it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I can talk about this with you all the time. But one more question before I get to some questions from some man fans and listeners. How do you feel? What would you say, online dating or going out in person? Is there a preference? Would you say to kind of do both? You were saying with these women of like being approachable. Is that approachable like out at a bar, or are you saying on online dating? What would you say would be your preference?
Yeah, great question.
Or how do you feel about them?
So I coach people on the 80-20 principle.
Okay.
Are you familiar with it?
No.
Pareto principle.
Mm-mm.
It's 20% of your output creates 80% of your input.
Oh, okay.
So like 20% of your effort creates 80% of your results.
Okay.
In any given area.
Yeah.
So it's the same with dating, I believe. So you need to find what your 80-20 is. For some people, their 80-20, meaning like their 20% of effort in person will get them 80% of their results.
Got it.
And other people, they don't really, they're either not in a situation that allows that. Like maybe you live in a country where it's still like very much on lockdown. So your 80-20 might look like being on dating apps every day.
Okay.
So you kind of had to find your 80-20. I learned very early on about myself that my 80-20 is not on dating apps. Like I am very much an in-person. I want to see you, feel your energy. Like when I give you a hug, I want to smell you. Like that's kind of how I like to do it. But I've coached many men and women who dating apps have been phenomenal for them.
Okay.
Like one of my clients got married to a girl that he matched with on Bumble.
Love
so
that.
it really just depends on like what your 80-20 is. And that client in specific, he works from home. He works like 14-hour days. He owns his own business.
He doesn't have time to
go out.
And like,
in his orbit, he's a very social dude, but like his orbit is already saturated with people that he's dated or that like have dated his friends or are dating his friends. And I've coached many men before and women whose friends are all married.
Yeah.
So when they go out with them, it's like
you're not getting
it's not really
hit on.
effective.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if that's your situation, then your 80-20 might be a dating app.
Okay.
But if that's not your situation and you are very social and you're invited to things where there's quality people, or you're just the type of person that tries a lot of new things out and you're always out and exposed in public, then your 80-20 might be like approaching.
Yeah.
And so to your other question about where can women be more approachable, my answer is everywhere.
Yeah.
So
you're saying you don't prefer, you kind of coach people for whatever is there, because a lot of people can do online. Some people are better in person. I think more and more the landscape, it's just online because there isn't the other sex there
Yeah.
to meet in person because they're on the online dating. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So I like that you're like, whatever it is that works for you, you don't prefer either way.
I don't
And
prefer
you can
either way.
be-
Yeah.
You can be yourself. You can be approachable. You can implement everything that you're saying in both aspects.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, online, obviously it can be challenging to present a 3D
Right.
version of you on a 2D platform.
Right.
But it's still possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to have a profile that's approachable, real, communicate, okay. Because that's the world.
Well, pro tip for women listening to this and for men, I mean, approachability, it can be as easy as a smile. Like,
Yeah.
my mistake when I got on dating apps way back when was that like all my pictures were modeling pictures.
Right.
So
of, like,
it was
stone
like,
face. Like, yeah.
Very like stoic
Yeah,
and like
yeah,
don't
yeah.
talk to me energy.
Sure.
So I learned that like, make eye contact with a camera, smile.
Yes.
That's how you can showcase your approachability.
Yeah. But we're like, dude, we look good in this picture.
Exactly.
We're looking away from camera.
Which like have one like that for sure. Like men too. Like
but
I always
maybe
tell
not
men
the first one.
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. I mean, for women, I would say the first one is better if they're making eye contact and they're smiling.
Yeah.
For men, statistics have shown that a picture of a man looking away actually gets more matches, which is really interesting.
Really?
Yeah, so I coach my clients on that.
Okay.
It's because they've surmised that it's because it makes him seem more interesting and more mysterious.
Right. And it does.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, girls, we need to look at the camera. Okay. So we got a couple questions. They're going to be, I think you can probably apply them to both. We did ask for man fans to write in. So why is dating in your late 30s so damn awful? Why does it seem the older I get, the harder it gets to date? Am I too picky, or is it because I just know myself better and refuse to settle for less? Are there less suitors out there? You kind of touched on it, but I think that you can probably speak more to like dating in your 30s, dating now. So what do you say to that?
This is a juicy question.
Juicy.
So first and foremost, not to seem like be positive all the time.
Sure.
I don't want to impart that energy in my response, but I will say that your question, if you're listening to this, does give me a lot of insight into the language that you use around dating.
Love it.
And that would be the first area that I would challenge you to explore. Because even if it's just a joke, but when you're using words like awful and harder,
Sucks.
like,
And
it sucks.
yeah.
Like we tend to, words create worlds. I believe that.
I like this.
So the way that you speak about your dating life is what your dating life will look like. So I said this earlier, but when I made a decision that there was no such thing as emotionally unavailable men, I only started meeting men who were emotionally available. And
Because you were like, there's no such
they
thing.
just don't exist.
And you put it out there.
Yeah.
And is there something to that as far as like, I'm okay. It'd be nice to meet someone.
Yes.
But when it's so kind of desperate and negative, I'm sure that
it impacts you. Like I remember
and the people that
and the
are
people
gonna
that you
approach-
attract. Because the thing is, your paradigm of reality is such that dating is awful and hard. So in order to confirm that notion, you are going to keep attracting situations
And be like,
that
"See?
really lock that in. See, that's just how it
told ya."
goes. Yeah.
Yep.
I'll never forget. I became single, ironically, at a Valentine's Day party that I hosted 3 years ago. It was really funny.
At the party.
At the party. It was a Valentine's Day party
Okay.
that I hosted. And
perfect.
my partner and I broke up. My ex-boyfriend and I broke up at the party.
Perfect.
And I know,
I
right?
love a party breakup.
Right?
Oh, because you still need to be like, I'm hosting. I'm fine. Love it. Love it. Go ahead.
So after that, I moved in temporarily with a friend just to kind of like for her to offer me emotional support as I
Yeah.
healed through it. And after hanging out with her for like 2 weeks and hearing her mindset on dating, like she had a very negative mindset about dating. She was in her early 40s at the time. And she just kept saying things to me like, you know, it's just really hard to date in this city, and like men just aren't emotionally available, and like this and that. And like, I just started noticing that by, you know, the fifth or sixth day, like her mentality really started to rub off on me.
You were drained.
I was drained. And I had never in my entire life believed those things. Like, I had always just had a really positive outlook on dating. And I kind of had a mantra that, you know, when one relationship ends, a better one comes looking for me,
the window's
like shortly
open.
after.
Yep.
And I just I really had to set a clear boundary with her, because I started noticing it to sink into my mindset. And that was right around the time when I was starting to become a dating coach. So I figured I would just start practicing on her. So I worked with her unofficially as a friend for like a year and a half after that. And the first thing that I did with her was help her change her language.
Yeah.
So I would basically tell her, like, I love you, and, you know, I will listen to you complain, but like, I'm going to set parameters for it. So for the next 2 minutes, you can vent all you want. But after that, like, I want to challenge you to use solution focused language, like solution oriented language.
Right.
And she met the love of her life at a party that I hosted for singles 2 years ago now. And she just doesn't talk about men the same. She hasn't talked about them the same ever again. But it was really because I told her I just won't listen to it. Because it was either I was going to lower my frequency to match hers, and we were going to just complain about men together, which is what I see happen a lot, or we were both going to make an executive decision to just look at reality differently. And when you look at reality differently, reality changes before you.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing I would say is like, change the way that you're talking about dating in your 30s. Like, maybe dating in your 30s is fucking amazing because you know who you are.
Right.
And you've already been through trials and tribulations, so you already know exactly what you want.
Right.
And you're going to be dating people who also know what they want because they've been through it too. So what if it could actually be amazing?
Because you're in your 30s. Yeah.
And you don't have to, like, you know, in your early 20s, I know for me, like, I had no clue what I wanted.
No.
I just dated who showed up.
I didn't know who I was. I was probably way more of like a pushover. And
Exactly.
Just, like, would go along with whatever else. Yeah. I do hear it a lot. What do you think that comes from? I do hear a lot like, why dating? Why does it suck so much in your 30s? Or is it just that I'm hearing that and then people in their 20s say the same thing, people in their, right?
I have a client who's 23. She's a woman that's 23. And she was saying that to me.
Right. So it's not just 30s.
It's not just 30s. It's your experiences that have shaped your reality. And then my guess is, you know, we attract people who think like us. So you probably have friends who mirror the same, echo the same message back to you. And you're all kind of just confirming to each other that this is the way it is. You probably read things that also line up with the way that you think. You probably watch things that line up with the way that you think. No judgment here. That's just kind of what we naturally do.
Sure.
We gravitate towards information that confirms what we already believe about something. So that's the first thing. And the second thing, and I'll bring in a little bit of like in a little bit of neurobiology here, but our brain after the age of 35 is not nearly as malleable as it is in our early 30s or in our 20s. So the older that you are, the less flexibility there is to change your mind. It doesn't mean that you can't. You totally can.
Sure. You just have to want to.
You just really have to want to, because you're less impacted by your environment. So what might be happening is, you know, you might be dating people who are in their late 30s who kind of already are set in their ways. Doesn't mean that they can't change, but it just means that you might be experiencing like dating people who don't really seem flexible.
Right.
And so it feels like it's harder because people are already like their personality is kind of like baked and out, like it's
that's it.
It's not dough anymore. It's like already baked and it's out of the oven, but it doesn't mean that has to be your reality.
Right. And sometimes people are single for a long period of time in their 30s and they're kind of just like, I'm good, you know. I'm
That's
good.
true too.
So someone needs to be fucking awesome to get me away from Netflix and my, you know, everything that I've figured out, which I do hear a lot too, is like when someone's been either a single or a bachelor for a long time, it's hard to, I mean, when you get used to that.
I get that.
Girl, that's good. The whole bed to yourself, the net, you know, watch whatever you want. But, you know, there will be a time, and not everyone, but hopefully there's a time in their life that they actually want to partner up with someone, be companion, but
And it doesn't have to look the way that we think it's supposed to look. I mean, that same woman that I'm talking about, she's dating in her 40s and they don't live together. Like, he lives in another city. He's close by, though. He's like an hour away. He comes and he spends Thursdays to Sundays with her. So she still gets to have a lot of that space that she's been accustomed to.
Right.
But she also gets to have the companionship. So you can make your relationship look whatever way you want to make it look.
did you say they were married?
No.
Okay.
They're just in a
Because we
committed
were talking
partnership.
about on a last show, like normalizing sleeping in different rooms
Yeah, totally.
when you're married.
Yeah.
Why is it so, like, people sleep so differently? People sleep louder or whatever. Like, why not? There is so much judgment with it, but why not be like, look, we hang out, whatever, and then I need to get some sleep, so
Yep.
I'm going to go into another room. So that kind of made me think of it because she has got it figured out. I mean, that is,
Like, you can have it all. You
Yeah.
really can.
yeah. Let's see. Oh, you have answered a lot of these.
I love when that happens.
Right? How can an introverted person navigate the dating world? What are good places to start? What would you recommend for those shy and slow to open up people?
I would say it's a great question.
And I'm sure you work with
Yeah, I've
some
worked with
just
many
because-
introverted people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have. I worked with, I attract a lot of software developers
Okay.
who deal with zeros and ones all day. And so when it
And
comes
now they're like-
time to actually have a conversation,
yeah.
they're like,
Yeah.
the first and foremost is to embrace, I would say embrace your introverted nature. I mean, I'll illustrate my point here with a story. I coached a guy named Robert who was a software engineer who's very introverted, got very anxious around people that he was attracted to. And what I invited him to do was to date online because that is, you can have a conversation and you can kind of warm up
Yes.
on the app. You can warm up over text. And from there, I mean, he set up a lot of dates just by talking to people online. And I always coach my clients on not becoming a pen pal.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
if you are introverted, it can be really tempting to get all the get to know you stuff over text.
Yes.
But you really want to leave that for the date. So if you are going to go the online route, take your time, get to know people, but then also remember what you're there for, which is to actually get on a date.
Right.
So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is when you are in person, something that I've coached many of my clients on is just be present. Because when you're present, when you're paying attention to your environment, you'll start to notice like people looking at you, people smiling at you.
Right.
You'll notice, like I was talking to one of my male clients last night. I mentioned him earlier. He's 28. He's extremely introverted. And before we started working together, he felt like no one saw him. Like he felt like he was invisible in public. And I'm sure many of you listening to this probably feel that way.
Exactly. But you're saying if he just looked around?
If he didn't even make eye contact with women.
Right.
So when he was in public, he thought that he was invisible. But what he started noticing when he started paying attention was women were looking at him, smiling at him, wanting to connect with him.
But he just wasn't.
But he just wasn't in that zone.
Yeah.
He wasn't open to it. That wasn't his reality that he had chosen for himself. So when he started choosing that reality and he started really believing that when he goes out, it's an opportunity to meet and connect with people, that started changing. And he started being able to open up even as an introvert.
Yeah.
Because even as an introvert, like people still want to connect with you.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to be, there's this idea that you have to be the loudest person in the room and like the person who just goes up and approaches everyone to make it in the dating world. And that's just simply not true.
Yeah. Because an introvert will be like, no, like,
Yeah.
calm down. I need a second. So I'm going to let me do one more. And then I want to talk about, after I ask you this, but I want to talk about, there's going to be people listening that want to maybe connect with you as far as like getting services. Do you do remote? Because not everybody lives here. They're all over.
Yeah.
Do you do remote coaching? And I know TikTok, is it just Elsa Marek on
It's Dating with Elsa.
Dating with Elsa on TikTok? You have many followers, but you kind of get little tips on there. I'm not saying go there for free tips, but if you see something that they want to actually get more from you do remote and stuff, right?
Yeah. Well, first of all, totally go there for free tips.
Okay.
Yeah. Totally.
Okay,
Like,
perfect.
I invite.
Because I got a lot of tips from there.
Yeah.
so,
No,
okay.
I invite people learning from me for free.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay.
And if you're listening to this and you're ready to, I've seen people waste on average anywhere north of 40 hours on dating, on dating, period.
Yeah.
Doing the wrong things.
Yes.
Whether it's like getting bad advice from people who don't have the love life that they want.
Right.
Whether it's rewatching the same YouTube videos over and over and over, but not actually taking any action.
Right.
Whether it's swiping on every men listening to this, swiping on every single woman, hoping that you'll get a match, sending a blast of new messages that are entirely unoriginal.
Right.
Like, if you're real with yourself listening to this, you've probably wasted at least 40 hours on doing the wrong things in dating. So I definitely invite you to consume all my free content.
Okay.
And if you, I have a free masterclass, a free training
Okay.
for men on how to book a date in the same day without being creepy, annoying, or spending hours on dating apps. And after you've taken the training, if you want to do something more, we can always have a conversation about it. But I would say for the people listening to this, yes, go check out all the free content.
Right.
And when you're ready to actually put it all together and make a real change, let's get connected. And let's even get connected before then. Like, they can still do the free training.
And that is your
Dateinaday.com.
What is it? Sorry.
Dateinaday.com.
Dateinaday.com, and they can find your masterclass or anything other like information there.
Yeah,
right?
well,
Okay.
dateinaday.com is for men who want to book a date in the same day. And it's a free training. It is awesome. And after you go through that training and you get results for yourself, you'll likely want to continue and do all the other fun things that I have to offer.
Guys, listen. So instead of writing into us messes for advice, let's go here. Let's get a real structure for it. But I love that. You can always get your book on Amazon.
Yep.
Basically, if you put in, I don't know if you know this, but if you put in dating, it's one of the first ones that comes
I
up.
do know that.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's up there. Dating for men.
Yep.
And it's on Amazon. Mine came in a day, so
Hey.
get on it. So let me do. If you've been talking to a guy for over a month, sorry, this is from a girl. For over a month, and you assume things are going really well, and then it turns into him only pursuing getting into your pants, how should you handle that? I'm sure you have a really intelligent answer for this that will be like,
Yeah,
Go.
I would say address it.
yeah.
Like, instead of, I love that you wrote in about this. That's amazing. And I'm curious, have you had that conversation with him?
Right.
So have you asked him, point blank, where do you see, what do you see, not even where do you see us going, or where, I don't even like that question, but what are you looking for out of dating?
Yeah.
What do you want for yourself out of dating? You can keep yourself out of it.
Yeah.
Because you either fit the vision that he is looking for or you don't. And if you don't fit the vision, then there's no point in continuing.
Right.
But what I often find is that some men don't really know until you ask them. You might think that he's just after sleeping with you.
But maybe that's just
But maybe
how
that's just-
you're feeling right now, because he's
Exactly.
getting very attractive, whatever
Yeah.
it may be.
Because
Okay.
men are initially attracted to us because they want to sleep with us. That's just kind
That's
of how
just-
he's not attracted to you because of your personality when he first sees you, right?
Yeah.
That's just how it goes. And it's instinct. But I coached a woman, I'm still coaching her, and they are no longer dating, but she did date a guy for a while who she ended up breaking up with. He was amazing to her, and she just decided that it's not what she wanted. But when he first met her, she thought that he was only after that. And I coached her on having honest conversations with him and just communicating. And what she found out, he was actually way more invested in her than she thought.
But she was either focused or not seeing.
Well, that was
or
her
not
experience.
talking. Yeah.
Yeah, that was her experience with men. So she was projecting it onto him.
Yeah. And it's so crazy that how many things can get fixed with just
Talking.
saying it.
Yeah.
Why is that so hard? I mean, again, we could do a whole nother 2 hours, but
Well, this is what I teach though.
So
So,
and keep repeating and
Yeah.
keep saying in this instance, just tell him, just tell her, whatever it may be. And again, I always say that nothing bad can happen from just telling someone how you feel and what the truth. And by the way, you may think like, oh, that'll scare him off or he won't like that. But that's not a bad thing if that scares someone off, right? So nothing bad can happen from just being honest and telling people what you want and what, right?
And
or am I wrong?
And you can preface with that. You can just say, like, I don't know if what I'm about to say is going to be said in a way that I'm necessarily like proud of, or like that, like I just want to be honest and I don't really want to worry about how it comes out.
Right.
But this is just how I feel. Like, no one can argue with how you feel. So you're not blaming, you're not shaming.
Right.
Like, maybe this isn't what your intention is, but how I feel is that you're only after this.
Yes. Is that true?
Is that
if
true?
It is.
Exactly.
Let's work on that.
Yeah.
Well, this looks like it feels like what you do for people, which is like find other language than what we are using, and just helping us find our way through this crazy place. I love talking to you. I feel like you have all the answers. I don't know if you do, but like that's the energy that I get from you. So it's working. And guys, girls, check out Dating with Elsa on TikTok, and then
Elsa Morick on Instagram. So ladies, even though I am focusing on men right now, like I shared earlier, I had a really cool female panel last week. It was absolutely free for the ladies. It was really fun. They learned a lot. So I would say still follow me on Instagram, Elsa Morick.
Yes.
Because I will likely do something for women soon.
Yes.
And I always have things on there that you can still benefit from.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Plus, the fastest way to understand men is to see what they're into and to see what they're learning and what they're asking. And you'll get a lot of that.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for being here. I would love for you to come back. And also, I want you to work with the Drinking Bros. Maybe do
that.
All guys. I feel like you can handle your shit.
Totally.
So they won't be able to get anything over on you. And I love that. So let's go meet them. And it was so nice talking to you.
Likewise.
See you soon.
Pleasure.
Bye.
Yeah, you've been watching every move and plotting your next move on every girl I'm moving on. Yeah, don't you